Hey, I'm at the park in downtown Quepos, right by the marina, and gonna try a little fishing this morning. Do a little talk. I'm trusting, following God's plan when it seems crazy. But we're at. It's a good park. Launch the kayak here. And, see if we catch a little fish. Got a few fishing options out here. So I put the kayak in. Right over here. The kayak launch. So I can go down there and fish over those areas. Tide's coming up, so tried to go to Basan's beach, which is straight across. It's closed. Doing some construction. Here's my other option, which I might do. It's a little riskier. Sometimes I tend to do that. Go down, climb through the fence and fish off the rocks. What I think I'm going to do. There's a lot of submerged rocks out there. So, as long as I don't get wiped out by a wave, come up with a bunch of road rash, I should be alright. So, but yeah, a lot of submerged rocks out there. Over this ways, I bring my kayak around that point, fish over there, and pretty cool. Do pretty good. Catch some rooster fish. Crazy, but sometimes trying to just keep it simple. Get a fishing pole and come out and not have to drag the kayak and tie it down on the rope and all that good stuff. But yeah, so here's where we're at. Okay, down here on the rocks. Give it a try. I don't know. Might be rough landing a fish here, and I need to keep an eye on the water. Tide's rising, so yeah, living on the edge. Here's where I'm at, down on the rocks. There's that one right there. Might be a good platform. Like I said, a lot of rocks in the water, so landing something is going to be a challenge. Yeah. This is it. See what we can do. First time really shore fishing. Like I said, sometimes I complicate it and got to get kayaks and get all crazy. And today I just grabbed a pole. And we're going to give it a try. Got a nice butch bait. See what I can do. Maybe get some red snapper or something. So, here we go. Well, I'm going to bail on this situation down here. I am thankful for my wife. I would probably do a lot more really stupid things and probably be dead by now. But as I'm down here fishing and these waves are crashing in, and yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube videos myself. I watched one where more people die fishing off the rocks in Australia than like from anything else. And these people just turn their head for a second in a wave. And yeah, it's been some kind of turbulent stuff here. So yeah, I don't know what happened if he fell down in that. I don't think he'd get out. So yeah, I'm bailing on this. Thanks, honey. I always think of you. And risk factor's a little too high. Bailing out. I made it out to the point. Good. It's a good thing. This is, I think, the best shore fishing spot around. Here's the bridge. The marinas right back there. You can see some of the bigger boats, but where these little boats are tied off. So this is where I bring the kayak around and I catch like 8-10 inch fish and just hook them for bait, drop it down to the bottom, and yeah, put on some music and just chill. And before you know it, big rooster fish, Jack Crevalles, and crazy fighting in the kayak. So got a kayak dock coming. We'll be trying to get some of that done. Some of it on film, so we made it. All right, so I made it out to the point. I'm gonna try a little fishing out here, and I'm excited. This is a good spot, and made the move, made it out here, and I'm gonna give it a try. But I want to talk a little about following God's calling, trusting Him when sometimes it's something you don't want to do, or you're scared to do, or you don't know how you're gonna do it. And just a couple situations in my life where I've had to do that. One was when we moved to the island was based on prayer, and God opened doors, and it was a big risk. And we didn't know anyone. We moved from a 3,000 square foot house to a 300 square foot studio, and you want to test your marriage, try that. But God just opened doors. We trusted Him. We prayed on it, and it was a really, really cool time in our life. But when it's God's will, the doors open. When it's not, we have to push. We're pushing against them, and that's our will. And but anyway, the getting to the island wasn't so much of a big thing. But when leaving that island was a big one for me. We sold our house while I was there, and I was never leaving. My mind, I'm just staying here. I loved the island. I loved it a little too much. I made it an idol, I found out later. But I was on fire for the island. My pastor introduced me once. He said, "This is Brian. He's infatuated on steroids with the island." And that was a good way to describe me. I put it above everything. But then, we went through some hurricanes, and we're there for the recovery, no power for months, and that, lit a fire in me for wanting to help people, do mission work. Mission teams were coming, we were digging people out. It was like some of the hardest and some of the coolest times, I think, of my life. But we went through that, and we ended up we were at one condos during the storm. We moved to another place, and it just wasn't where we were supposed to be. I'll just say the people didn't talk right to us. They it was cool. It was beautiful. We were living in a house, property managers, amazing house, four units overlooking the Caribbean, an infinity pool. But they didn't talk right to us. I just knew. I said, this isn't where we're supposed to be. So I started praying, praying for God to open and close doors. What's next for us? And we had a good reputation on the island, the property managers. So in my mind, that's where we were going to be. We sold our house. We're staying in paradise. And I kept praying for God to open doors that He wanted to open for us, and close doors that needed to be closed. And I kept praying that, and all I'll say is I was getting continually more uncomfortable in my own skin. And I kept praying and just was getting worse and just worse, and I didn't know what was going on. And my pastor's wife came up one day. I was painting at her house, and I was on my knees painting something like a baseboard, and I saw her walking up, her feet. I said, "Oh man, I'm like sobbing here." And she said, "Brian, how you doing today?" And I looked up and I said, not good, Ann. It's like the island's dying to me. And God was working on me. He was doing something. He was making the island die to me, is what He was doing. And but I kept going, and my people told me, you have PTSD, and you got to go see a therapist. I went to the therapist, and I explained what I was going through, and she goes, "You're fighting with God." And I said, "I know, I haven't surrendered." And when I surrender, when I'm totally broken, and God works miracles in my life, He's gave me my children after surrendering. He took my desire to drink after surrendering. But that's when I'm broken and just throw my hands up and go, "God, I give up." And He comes through with miracles. But anyway, this therapist said, "You're fighting with God." And So anyway, a couple weeks later, I'm still praying. Open doors that you want open, and close the doors you want to close for me, God. And in my mind, I was still staying on that island, but it kept getting harder, and I was wrestling with God. I was in like a month-long Jacob moment, and yeah, finally, one day, I was just standing out looking over the infinity pool in the Caribbean, and I said, I got to get off this island. I'll swim away. I'll run down the hill and swim off it. And that just wasn't me. And I went in, I hit my knees, and I just said, God, I trust you in your plan. I broke down crying. I said, I can't do this anymore. And I just felt, boom, a big weight lifted off me, and I knew I surrendered. I gave up. And the next morning, I told my wife we're going to church, and I said I surrendered. I did it. And she said, what do you feel? I said, we got to go. And I go, we have to leave the island. That's all I know. And she said, well, I thought we were staying here. And I said, no, but I'm not going back to Chicago. Not going back to construction. Still Brian's way. Still Brian's way. And went back to Chicago. And I did roofing sales. Pretty much I was on roofs for 7 years we were there. And but when I got back there, God I had terrible guilt. He's big God. I get hit with a board again and 2x4 to the head, and I was on my knees going, God, forgive me for putting an island before you. I made it an idol. But then I realized all the things I'd made idols, like I had a Mustang. My kids used to joke, Dad loves that car, more than us. And I'd go to church on Sunday and a Bible study, but I'm polishing the car, and what do I pay more attention to? I'm on Mustang forums, and I had a bull mastiff, and the kids joked about that. And I know more about bull mastiffs than I should. I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict, so when I go down to focus on something, I'm focused. But yeah, God he really hit me like, I want to be first, and you've made these things idols. And it was crazy. In the next few years, it was the world, I was all wrapped up in the world and kept reading the Bible and praying, use me, remove of me what's not of you, fill me what's of you. And the world, just a distraction. The last year, it's crazy what he's done. But yeah, I kept feeling the whole time we were in Chicago that he had something big for me. Didn't know what it was. And just searching, we went to Tennessee, we went to Arkansas, went to Florida. We were ready to go to Florida. We were going to sell our place and move there, and we had a trip booked, and a hurricane hit. And my wife's like, I don't want to, be around hurricanes again. Well, I said, well, let it calm down. We got 3 weeks, and another hurricane hit, the exact area we were going. And yeah, my wife she said, no, I've been praying for God to be loud, and I think this is a message. We're not supposed to go there. And so we canceled the trip. I mean, everything was destroyed there. The places we were staying were closed. And anyway, so we're like, all right, where do we go now? And the door opened for Costa Rica, and it was crazy, just the things that happened, how it happened. God, I got kneecapped. I was doing roofing sales, and all of a sudden, man, I hurt my knee, and I was laid up for a month. And going for MRIs, I couldn't walk, but God slowed me down, and I got this crazy idea, maybe you could be a pastor. And I thought, I'm not pastor material, I'm just an ex-druggie and addict, and it's not me, I'm not proper enough. And, but then I thought, well, God, if you want me to be a pastor, I'll be a pastor. And I called one of my pastors from the island, and I told him what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And he said, Brian, you don't have to have a title to serve God. And he said, it's funny you called, because I just got back from Costa Rica, and I've been fasting and praying for people that are feeling called to call me or reach out, and then praying for people to, step forward. And anyway, I thought, wow, I never thought of Costa Rica. We started doing a Bible study on Zoom with them, with some people here. And anyway, it was just weird chains of events started opening doors for Costa Rica. And me and my wife, I said, well, we have an anniversary coming up. Let's go. And let's check it out. Florida's not working. Let's just take a couple weeks. We'll go to the Caribbean side, 10 days. And we did 10 days in Quepos, Manuel Antonio area. We were down to Mount Apollo. But so that's what we did. And when we came here, I went to Beach Church, and it was, man, I knew right away. I knew right away when we got there that this is where you're supposed to be. This is where God has work for you. And we went back to Chicago, and I told my wife, I said, we went out to lunch with the pastor anyway, and talked to them, and I'm like, just everything felt right. I knew it. And I got home and told her, I said, I really feel this is where we're supposed to be. And she didn't, had no desire to come to a foreign country and be away from the 8 kids and 15 grandkids, and it's Costa Rica. Anyway, we prayed and prayed, and I wasn't going to do it without her on board, but I knew this is where you're supposed to be. And she came home one day and said, I had my Jacob moment. I just went out and wrestled with God, and it's Costa Rica. That's where we're supposed to go. So she gave her yes, and I gave my yes. And once we both gave our yes, I said, well, we're going to sell our place. And I was going to put it on the market. I called this guy, I do roofing sales. He said, if I'm thinking of selling, to let him know he wants to start rehabbing places. Anyway, I called this guy, and he came by and bought the place. Said, you want a bag full of hundreds or a cashier's check? And it was just, when it's God's will on the island, I was pushing, and he just wrung me out. But when it is God's will, the door's open. The door's open, and we were here over Christmas, and in February we sold our place, sold my car, moved here, didn't know anybody besides the people we met on the church that day. And just trusting God, not knowing what we were going to do, but that he had some work for us. And we kept going to the Beach Church, and I met the men at the from the rehab center, and I got recovery, and I just connected with these guys. And I went and saw the place and said, man, they need so much work. It's, when I walked through, it was humbling. It's, I'm thinking of a 5-star resort. I don't even know if it was 1 star. And these guys were so grateful for what they had. And I thought, man, they need help. And, I got sales experience, a computer, and a little pension. And then he introduced me to the kids at Cocal. And, they just touched my heart. So we, got these 2 groups that, it's awesome. I really care about them, and making a difference, and it's really starting to go. And I, got a 501c3, and I crossed to the Mountain Ministries, and it's just cool. But we trusted God, and I'm still finding my way. But it was scary, and it's still kind of scary, and there's still kind of hard days. And like last week, I was on a roller coaster, kind of freaking out. But I've had some divine interventions, meeting people, and it's crazy how God works. But that's, I guess, about it. Just, how when we trust God's plan, and we're obedient. And I made him a promise that I'd serve him anywhere. And I don't take that lightly. I don't play with God. If he wanted me in Costa Rica, he's going to get me here. And so I figured we better just come on our own and trust him. And we did, and it's cool. And he's, look at where we're at. So trust God. Trust God, bro. And if it's his will, he'll open doors. And I had a VR headset, and I put it on. I might have mentioned that in another one, and I was clicking through stuff, and I clicked on this sunset of it was Jaco in Costa Rica, and I started crying, and I heard God say, what if this is where I have work for you? I will bless you beyond your wildest dreams. And I'm like, whoa. But little things happened, and it's how God works when it is his will. He gives me little messages, opens doors. But it's cool. And we did it, and we're here. And and I'm starting a YouTube channel. And, just crazy stuff. Talking about God. So I used to talk about politics all the time, and conspiracy theories, going down rabbit holes. And focusing on God's much better. The world's crazy. The world is what it is, and God's got it all figured out. He knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And yeah, we waste a lot of time worrying and stuff, but when you just you pray for God to direct you and guide you and trust Him, and yeah, look where He's got me. So yeah, that's it. Just grateful today, real grateful for trusting God's will and the lessons He teaches me. So that's it. I'm out. Maybe I'll catch a fish. I'll jump back on.